Yeah, thanks everybody. Quick introduction. My name is Timothy St. Germain. I am the State Plant Health Director here in Washington State. I work for USDA APHIS PPQ, and that's Plant Protection and Quarantine, and located here I'm located in SeaTac, Washington, with all my contact information there on the screen. So I'm going to be providing this PowerPoint presentation. I've already actually provided it to Joey, and I also have another document that helps with how to submit suggestions, which we'll be talking about shortly. So let me just jump right into this. So these are the three topics I'll be talking about today: funding opportunities under our Plant Protection Act 7721, with 4 topics underneath: amount, goals, application process, and how we evaluate each of the suggestions that have been submitted. I'm going to be going over our fiscal year 25 spending plan that came out back in January, then also cover a few examples of projects that are I think pertinent to what we're talking about today. And then I'll end up with cooperative agreements. What is it? How it differs from a grant, and just the process of getting from a suggestion, a person's thoughts. This is a project I think that will work well in our community. So getting it from a thought to hopefully a fully executed project that we provide the funding, and then we're working on their install. So, and on the right side, you can see there that I've copied a link that hopefully when you guys get this and have access to it, it takes you to our webpage for Plant Protection Act 7721, and talks about how USDA has invested more than $2.1 million in tribal communities to fund plant protection activities and projects in this fiscal year. So starting out with what we're, the reason why I'm here talking about funding opportunities. So under the Plant Protection Act 7721, we provide roughly $75 million per year, with about $4 million of that set aside. It's the very bottom of the slide there, highlighted, where it talks about up to $4 million. Plant Protection Act 7721 set aside funding to support tribes, tribal organizations, and universities, as well as other minority affiliated organizations. So this is something that I really want to put out there, especially in this for this presentation, that there's a good amount of money that can be provided each year. We just want to make sure that people are aware of how to put in for it and what types of projects that can fund. So that's, again, going to be a lot of what I'm talking about today. And all that funding comes from the Plant, Pest, and Disease Management and Disaster Prevention Program. Again, link here that hopefully everybody that has this can go to it, take a look at this. FAQs are great. It's got good information on how to submit suggestions, and again, what suggestions can be funded. There's 6 goals that people can submit projects / suggestions under, and it can be surveys, it can be outreach, mitigation of plant pests or noxious weeds. So we have a wide range of goals that we would like to see people submit suggestions on, to where exactly what we're doing here, like Joey said, and Stephanie and Maria, that we provide funding to the Washington Invasive Species Council and to Washington State University for outreach projects, exactly such as this. So if anybody has projects that they can think of that fall under one of these 6 goals, it is a great opportunity to be submitting a suggestion, and hopefully it gets evaluated and funded. But again, these are the 6 goals that people can submit projects under for APHIS. So I keep using that term suggestion. It's my apologies. It's kind of ingrained in, but it's what we are calling a project that somebody has that they want to see if it can get funded. And the open period to submit a suggestion is early to mid-June through early to mid-August. So it's a roughly 2-month window in the summer that any cooperator that wants to submit a suggestion, they can, and that would be submitted electronically using the Plant Protection Act 7721 ServiceNow application. And I referenced the third bullet point that I referenced at the beginning here, that I have got a guidance document that I already sent over to Joey, and both this PowerPoint presentation as well as this guidance document will be available for everybody to reference at any time. That guidance document is extremely helpful, just laying out the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3 of how to get access to this ServiceNow application system, getting your e-authentication, and how to submit a well-written suggestion. So we try to provide as much information and help as possible because we want everybody to be successful when they submit a suggestion for review. After a suggestion is submitted, there is also a robust evaluation process. And we want to try to get as many people involved. And as you can see here, the first bullet point and sub-bullet point, suggestions will be reviewed by goal teams that encompass representatives from APHIS, National Plant Board, other federal agencies, tribal nation representatives, especially Crop Farm Bill Alliance, and the research community. We want to make sure we don't have any blind spots. So if this was just federal employees that were reviewing suggestions, we want to make sure that we have as much feedback and information as possible, so that if it is a suggestion that brings value, that is going to bring information for outreach, look for foreign exotic pests that we don't have through surveys, we're going to be evaluating all of those different things. And like it says there, evaluating the strategic alignment, impact, feasibility, past performance, use of best practices, and innovation of each suggestion. So it is a robust review process so that we can get the best of the suggestions that are submitted to be funded. Another very good question is, how and when will I know if my suggestion was funded? And the best way that I can tell people, if you've submitted a suggestion, there is going to be a bit of a wait between that summer time period and then when the spending plan comes out. And the best way to get notified is through our APHIS stakeholder registry. And that there's a link, is the first link on here of how to register for that. And you will automatically get notified. And it also is a great stakeholder registry because it provides a lot of current events, a lot of information from APHIS, invasive species awareness month, when that is. It's just got a lot of great information that will help focus on invasive pests, imports, exports, current events, and things that we all want to know about and care about related to the environment, keeping plant pests out, and just making sure that we're staying up to date on all those things. So jumping over to the spending plan, I covered how you submit, what a suggestion is. Now to the current spending plan. This was announced January 14th, so just a few months ago, and I've got a link here to that. But you can also see by the goal areas, the goals that I talked about, goals 1 through 6. Goal 1A, 1S are the analysis and disease survey, all the way down to goal 6 to enhance mitigation capabilities. And you can see we had 15 million that we provided to cooperators in goal 1S, and then all the way down to the enhanced mitigation capabilities, about 13.5 million. And right now, this project was made available through outreach and education from the previous fiscal year, not this fiscal year spending plan. But as Maria, Stephanie, Joey, and everybody's mentioned, this is a great opportunity for outreach and education, and is a way that people can put in for funding for and get funded to keep providing uh, information on all things that we want regarding foreign exotic pests, how to keep our nurseries strong, how to make sure we are looking for what are the warning signs when you're looking at trees. These are all types of things that can be provided in that outreach and education. So a lot of money was provided. It was, I think, all well worth it, and helps strengthen American agriculture through keeping plant pests out of our country. And going a little bit more in depth, so I copied and pasted everything from Washington State. So as you can see, we've got I think about 8 or 9 different Goal 1S, so survey projects, all with the Washington State Department of Agriculture. We've got a couple of Goal 3, couple of Goal 4. Goal 5 was another popular one this year, and then one Goal 6 for enhancing mitigation capabilities. Again, Goal 5, it is something that I really support. And will continue to say that this has been successful for many years, working with Washington State University, working with the Washington Invasive Species Council, Recreation and Conservation Office, that we've got subject matter experts at so many different places like Washington State University that we want to utilize their expertise and their contacts to provide information out to the public. And we just don't have enough people within USDA APHIS PPQ to be able to do that at every opportunity. So it is a great partnership that we've built and continue to work on. Dan Fagerly was a guy that with Washington State University, that's a name that I will continue to bring up because he was one of the best at outreach events and connecting with different people, and thankfully Joey has kept that up and ran with it, and continues to put into for suggestions and continues to get funded because they are very valuable. So great example of how submitting suggestions, getting them funded, and then seeing it in practice, because we're doing it right now. And I also highlighted 3 on the upcoming fiscal year. So this is the current year, so it'll probably be something that you see later in the year, maybe even into calendar year 26. But we had the Soxhawtl tribe that put in for the tribal plant and pest disease management and disaster prevention program. We're working with them right now on their work financial plan. And then the same thing, the other 2, safeguarding tribal plant nurseries with educational activities and resources, enhancing tribal resilience to invasive species with co-design educational materials. And those last 2 are with Joey as well, Washington State University. And we're working through the work and financial plans to get those projects fully executed so we can provide that funding and move forward over the rest of this year and into next, providing outreach on all of those topics. So perfect example of what we want to see, how these projects can be submitted, and how they can be approved and help everybody out in the environment. And then again, going back to the snippet that I had at the beginning of my presentation, talking about setting aside up to $4 million in Plant Protection Act 7721 funding to support tribes, tribal organizations, and universities. And there is a specific section that does just that, and that's our reserve funding. That, as you can see here, you've got Soxhawtl on there again, showing the $20,000 are provided. You have the WITCAC in Wisconsin Tribal Conservation Advisory Council. It was a wide range of projects between Goal 1S, which is survey, Goal 5, outreach, and Goal 6, enhance mitigation capabilities. So this is just an example of other either universities or tribal entities that have received the funding directly from the Plant Protection Act 7721. And I like to highlight, this is a bit of an older project. It was called Slow Burn, How Yellow Star Thistle and Other Invasive Species Destroy Our Tribal Ranges, and What Can We Do? This was done by M3 Consulting, and they made a YouTube video. And I put a link here. I hope that everybody that gets access to this clicks on it. It is about an 8-minute video. Great example of what can be done. It was, $28,907, and every penny was well worth it because I think it was a great outcome. Interviewing people, they use drone footage, and it really shows how something invasive like Scotch broom, butterfly bush, some of these noxious weeds that can unfortunately take over our environment, how they can affect our native range, and it can be something that we don't really think about, but it's something that's extremely important in what we want to keep out. So a great example of an older project that we worked on, but it's something out there for people to see. And the last part of what I want to go over is cooperative agreements. That's not really a common term. Most people think of grants, but it definitely is different from a grant. So I want to go over what it is, how it differs from a grant, and then the process to get it through from very beginning, suggestion, all the way through to the very end. So cooperative agreement, what is it? So a cooperative agreement and a grant are pretty similar. The main difference is that there is substantial involvement in a cooperative agreement between the entity that's providing the funding, i.e. us, and then the cooperator that's receiving it. So this is a perfect example of substantial involvement. We want to help, we want to provide information. And so working with Joey, working with Maria and Stephanie on outreach projects where we provide the funding, but then also hopefully we can help with review of the working financial plan. Hopefully we can participate and assist in the project. And then also we're required to review the semi-annual and annual reports that both financial and performance that come in every 6 months on the project. So grants are a little bit different. That's a term that I think a lot of people are familiar with. Cooperative agreement, maybe not as much. There are similarities, but again, the main difference is that this quote unquote substantial involvement where we want to help, we want to provide information, and it has worked very well in the past. So main difference between a grant and a cooperative agreement. And then I like to provide this graphic to show that there are many steps in the process after a suggestion is submitted, after it's approved. The first step with the little circle and or oval there in orange, working financial plans need to be created, need to be submitted, goes all the way through the process, and then fully obligated funding at the very end with that green diamond. There are a lot of steps in the process, but it is doable. It is something that between Joey, between Maria, between Stephanie, myself, Yolanda Nguanzo is a person that I haven't mentioned up to this point, but she's our pest survey specialist, and she's great. She's been working with cooperators for many years on PPA 7721 on all these projects, and that's what we're here for. We want to help, and really it is doable. I know that Joey's had probably, I think, 10 projects with us. He knows the ins and outs, knows how to make it work, knows how to make it happen. We've worked with the Washington Invasive Species Council for many years. So even though there are a lot of steps, it's definitely doable. And there is many people that everybody that's wanting to submit a suggestion, there's many people out there that you can reach out to ask for assistance. And we definitely want you to do that. So long process, but definitely doable. And at the very end of the whole thing, this is what you want to see. This is what's called a phase sheet. This shows your funding, this shows your time period, this shows everything that you want to see, because that indicates that it has been fully executed. The funding's been provided to whichever entity is out there, whether it's universities, whether it's our tribal partners, whether it's a state Department of Agriculture. They can really start working in earnest on the project after that point and doing their surveys, doing their outreach, doing whatever it is that's, will benefit both us, American agriculture, and the cooperator that's working on the project. And so a lot of information there. Went over funding opportunities, went over our current spending plan, went over cooperative agreements. So don't hesitate to give me a call if you have any more questions. Again, a lot of the people that are on here have been through these processes before and are also, great to talk to, have tons of good information. So with that, I'll just turn it back over to you, Joey, unless there are any questions.